Good evening, everyone. This is Donald Lee, member of the CCU Basketball East Bay Committee. Today, I'm going to go over some basics of officiating positioning using an app I discovered over the weekend. There's always questions about officiating by our various players and and things that they could do to improve. So I'm going to use the app to kind of talk about some of the positions that are on the court when it comes to officiating, some of the responsibilities of what each position does, and how to kind of generally move around a little bit. And it's always good to have a visual. So let's take a look at the application right now, shall we? So while looking at the screen, you notice there's a ball. That's the orange round circle with the B. You'll also see that there's three squares, each identified with a T, a L, and a C. Let's go over those three boxes. Starting with the L, that's short for the lead position. The lead official is basically generally under the basket. They're going to be working a lot of seeing the things under the three-point line and all the stuff going on in the key. Now, please note that the L doesn't mean that they're the lead official in the terms of being the head official or being the one in charge. It's just in terms of how they position. And as you will note as I go through this presentation, the positions will change generally throughout the game as well. Switching to the T position, the T stands for trail. And you'll notice the T stands right around above the three-point line. On this diagram, there isn't a marker. But generally, for us high school officials, the T position is at around what they call the 28-foot mark. Their goal generally is to look around above the three-point line. It may bleed into a little bit of where the lead or the L is looking, but generally it's everything above the three-point line on their side of the court. They're looking, a lot at the ball handling and also the guys shooting the threes, and they're also helping out with the rebounding after the shot goes up. The last position is the C, or what we call the center position on the other side. As you notice, whereas the trail and the lead are on the same side, the C is all by their lonesome on the other side of the court. And they have probably one of the more difficult jobs in when officiating, because they basically have almost the entire side of the court all to themselves. And that is why a lot of times when we do the CCU stuff, usually the C position is the best official and over there because they can look at everything and get help. Now, keeping in mind that I'm a high school official, there's a lot of expectations when doing high school games that you will move as officials. We don't tend to do that in the CCU just because of the fact that folks are inexperienced. But generally speaking, when it comes to officiating, all of these positions will change. So let me illustrate what I mean by that. So looking on the screen again, if you see the ball, let's say there's a fast break and the ball's going down court. So you see the ball now is going down to the other end of the court. As the ball goes down, all the officials obviously need to move to catch up with it. So let's look at the trail first. You'll see that the trail, let's say, has to run down, and he will have to go down to the end line. The same thing with the C. The C will go themselves down to the end line and stop at around the free throw line extended. And lastly, the L position person will also have to trail the play and get back to their original spot. So now, once you've transitioned, what actually happens? Well, theoretically, your positions have actually changed. The trail position the person that used to be the trail position that ran down court is now under the basket is technically now considered the L. You'll see I'm switching it on the screen here. The person that was formerly the trail person is now the lead. The lead person that was once down at the bottom of the basket on the other side is actually it has now become the trail by definition, based on their positioning. The only person there that did not change was the C position, because they are opposite the court, and in general, if you're looking at a transition from positioning standpoint, that does not change. So that's really part one of the illustration is, when you move, by moving down court, your positions have actually already changed. Another thing I want to really illustrate, and in the future we may emphasize it more in the CCU East Bay, is really with foul reporting. A lot of times there's comments from different people for CCU East Bay officiating is that sometimes there is a good official on one end of the court, but because they call all the fouls, and most of the time in the CCU East Bay, we don't switch at all. That official may call a ton of fouls on one end. On the other end, there may not be a lot of calls because, you know, the other guy, let's say, is a little bit more, is a little less experienced. So let's kind of illustrate the process of what happens in this in general. There's always some exceptions, and I'm not going to cover it for this purpose. But let's cover the general principles of how referees should switch in a regular high school game. And maybe in the future, I will emphasize it more for the CCU East Bay. So let's assume we're in the current set of positions where we have the lead down here at the bottom, on the left-hand side, bottom under the basket on the left side of the screen. The trails by the score table, and the C position is actually, again, opposite the score table. Let's say the ball goes to the C side. He's looking at a play. The offensive player has the ball, and there's a foul that needs to be called, and the C person sees the foul, and they call it. So generally, what we need to do is the C person needs to actually run to the reporting area, which is generally a few feet in front of the score table, and report the foul. Red, 23, block. What happens in most cases in high school is as the C person comes to report, the person that was already standing there, the trail position, actually needs to switch and go to where the C was. Once the C person has reported a foul, they will assume that position where their other person just left. So effectively, the C person has now become a trail. I know it's not illustrated here because, you know, I have to kind of show people. So basically, the C is now a trail. The trail is now a C. That is one example. Let's do another example. Let's say the lead official calls a foul. Let's say the ball goes all the way down to the bottoms of court, to the part of the court where the lead is looking, and there's a foul called. If there's a foul called by the lead, they again will run to the table, to the scoring, to the reporting area, report the foul. At the same time, the C position needs to run down and fill out where the lead person was. So to illustrate my point I said earlier, don't ever get fixated on the actual positions, the named positions, because in general, if you do move in a game, your positions will always change. But again, the lead, trail, and center positions are really for illustrative purposes to understand what your responsibilities are and in terms of what you're looking for. So I haven't covered what you're supposed to be looking for. We can save that for a future time. But I think for this purpose, just to kind of illustrate how people need to move, I kind of gave everyone a quick walkthrough of things that are going on. I think that we can conclude this particular session for tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to post something on Facebook or catch me when I'm at the league and ask me questions about this. But I hope you found this very useful for yourself, and we'll look forward to speaking to you guys soon. Have a great day.